father may not be in the house. And one of the things I would ask the women who raising young boys, and people that's working with young boys, is to stop telling them that they are not perfect, or they have this hole in their heart because they don't have a father in their life.
Okay.
So that creates,
You know what?
right?
We need to move this way a little bit. I'm sorry.
That creates a situation where the kid thinks they're gonna be broken for life
Okay.
because you told them that because they wasn't raised with their father, that their upbringing isn't solid.
Well, let me ask you this. Do you think that single mothers should not tell their sons that they're the man of the house? Because I used to tell my son all the time, you are the man of this house. And I'm going to be honest, even though my husband was deployed during that, when he heard me say it, or heard that this was something that used to be said to my son before him, he kind of did feel some type of way, which I didn't understand why, because it was before I met you, before you came into the home. So for my son, for me, I felt like, okay, you are the man of the house, meant you got to take out the trash, you got to make sure your sisters are safe. I didn't mean that as you are the man of the house, you have real responsibilities. I mean, making sure your sisters are safe, taking out the trash is different than.
But how does the kid know that if you don't explain it to him though? If you ain't sat down and
True.
explained that to him,
True.
how do he supposed to interpret what being the man of the house means?
True. Okay.
So instead of saying the man of the house, maybe you use some other terminology, like I'm dependent on you to help me out. You the male in the house. I need you to I need you to take out the trash. I need you to do blah 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 blah. Tell him what
Okay.
those responsibilities are versus just saying you are the man of the house, and he don't know what that actually means, and so he interpreted from whatever he's saying. Maybe it's television shows, maybe it's music, maybe it's people that live next door to you, and he
Okay.
see how the man is acting, right?
Mhm.
So for me, dealing with young boys, that seem to come up a lot about the step parent, and when you dig deeper,
Mhm.
they feel like they're being replaced, or they because the step parent is coming into the picture,
Mhm.
it automatically leaves no opportunity for the parent that they want to be in their life because now mommy or daddy got a new boyfriend or girlfriend.
I mean, is there a way? I mean, I know you can't speak for them, but is there a way to ease that? I mean, because I am that. Like my kids are my
Ease
everything.
what?
Ease that feeling for either party because my kids are my world. And I'll be honest, my husband kind of, oh, you live for your kids, but I live for you type of thing. I do live for my kids, but I do know eventually they do have to grow up and move out.
Right.
And I don't feel as though just because I am with someone else, I need to show them that they mean less.
So my suggestion, right, and I'm not no therapist, right, is that you have a conversation
Mm-hmm.
with your kids, right?
Mm-hmm.
When you considering dating, not that you expecting them to approve
Right.
of what you doing,
Mm-hmm.
but just letting them know that,
Changes.
right, changes are coming. Mommy, mommy is looking for companionship.
Mm-hmm.
Mommy don't want to be alone forever. I know you might feel some kind of way because your dad isn't in the picture, but
Mm-hmm.
mommy want to date. Right. So
Okay.
if you get them where they're comfortable, not asking their permission, but just giving them a forewarning, and then
Mm-hmm.
they feel like that they had some say in it, that you made them aware that it was going to take place,
Mm-hmm.
and it won't be just a surprise. But they
Okay.
still may not like the man or the woman that comes into the picture.
Very true.
But it
But does it
depends on the.
always make them lash out to a point where they end up in some type of situation where they're seeking it or seeking the affection that they got from you and that ends up putting them in a bad position? What makes them end up in the role of I'm in jail now?
So when you tell a kid, right, if you remember kids that grow up in fragile communities, what I mean by fragile communities, I mean in communities where crime is prevalent, right?
Mm-hmm.
And nobody likes to be told to be poor, right? Kids don't like to nobody know that they on welfare or any of that stuff, right? And their
Mm-hmm.
moms may not be able to meet the needs of the house or meet their when they want to start dressing, right?
Okay.
Moms might not have the money to buy them the latest gear, and some kids feel the responsibility to
Mm-hmm.
help chip in to help moms out.
My
So
son was
it's
like
several
that.
reasons why individuals choose to try to make some quick cash. Some,
Mm-hmm.
like me, I didn't get in it to support the house. I got in it because I hated the house that I was in. I hated the community that I was in.
Okay.
And the fastest way that I saw me getting out
Was the good.
was the drug trade because I was too young. I was 11 years old. I
Mm-hmm.
couldn't get a job. I didn't really know nothing about cutting grass and doing all that old stuff. I saw what was easy, and why I say it was easy
Mm-hmm.
because at one time they had me watching the stashes. Soon they had me holding the stashes, and I was making the sales. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So it was just they give me drugs. Somebody come looking for drugs. I give them the drug, and they give me the money. The exchange was that easy. I ain't have to break out no school book or nothing, right? It was
Mm-hmm.
instant gratification. But how they really lured me in is that when I'm out there playing, they sent me to the store. So when they send me to the store, when I come back, they give me a couple of dollars, right?
Mm-hmm.
I might get a couple of dollars from my mother once a month.
Mm-hmm.
So every time that I come out and play now, guess where I'm playing at?
Over there, you get
Next
that
to the
couple
drug
dollars.
dollar, so I can get sent to the store.
Mm.
And so, with Dead Before 18, that is some of the things that we teach the kids to be aware of. Because you may not know, the young men in your life may not know that just letting them know, you know how some of our communities, they be like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
to let them know when the police coming,
True.
that's enough to get you tied into a conspiracy.
Okay. Well, we got Mr. Brown. Mr. Brown,
What's
what's up, baby? I hope you make it to Philly to this event June 2nd. I hope to see you there. Seriously, like, I'm nervous. I need all my Philly people to stand up. But he said, I think that depends on the relationship the kids have with the new companion. Kids want to approve your mate also and have as much of a say as
as you?
you,
Right.
LOL. Okay.
So I agree with that.
I do agree with that. I mean, kids do want to have a say, but they do have to remember that they don't have a final say.
But it's also a part of responsibility
Mm-hmm.
of the new spouse coming into your life to be able to connect with the kids, right?
You know what?
When y'all say
So
it's,
true.
it's a package deal,
Mm-hmm.
then that's what y'all mean, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, not all parents, because if they want to do, they'll tell the kid, get out my face.
And that's
But
wrong.
kids, just like adults, know when you running game, know when you trying to impress them and that you faking. They bullshit me.
I'm gonna be honest. He's right. Kids know when we don't, cause I'm telling you, so much happened where my kids was like, "Mom, you were in marital bliss land. We didn't want to say anything,
Right.
cause they seen things I didn't." But you know what? It is up to us as parents to listen to our children. We can't selflessly live for them anymore. We can't, because at the end of the day, when they turn a certain age, they do leave, and then it's just what, you and the puppy, the rabbit, the cat. I mean, with me, it's gonna be me and the rabbit because I don't do cats and dogs. But you have to still live for self. So I feel like, look, if we can work through it, let's work through it. As long as it's not my companion is putting hands on my child, because once you do that, then me and my child. But I feel like if it's just something like, I don't like the way they look or I don't like the way they speak, then that's something that all parties, I feel like, should work on it. I feel like as a child, you shouldn't be selfish enough to say, well, I just don't want you to be with that person, and that's just over.
But I think when you, like, the same way that you were gonna let your kids know that you're gonna start dating,
Mm-hmm.
I think the person that you date have to know, if you're saying you coming in, this is a package deal.
Mm-hmm.
You have to tell them what their roles are too in the life of the child. Because I've dated women with kids, and I've been
Mm-hmm.
uncomfortable,
Why?
especially, I mean, because you wondering if the kid gonna like you. You
Mm-hmm.
wondering, all right, now I'm in her face. I'm liking her. Is it gonna last? Do I want to get attached to these kids and it don't last, right?
Okay. Okay.
And with girls, right?
Mm-hmm.
I've been in a relationship with women with girls, and I just never felt comfortable like with the girl.
Okay.
I mean, I kick
Understood.
it with them and everything, but there was always like this line, this divider that was in there. But with the boys,
Mm-hmm.
you can talk trash to them. I mean, I usually connect. I mean, I connect with all of them,
Okay.
but just with girls, because girls grow. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And as a man that never had a daughter, I just really don't know how.
You bring up a good point. So let me ask you, what about those moms who have been hooked up with somebody in jail? Hey, I want to say real quick, hey to Brother Rob. He said, peace, Queen, Lamont, come back. You already know, Brother Rob. My cousin June is on. Hey, June. Mwah. I am in Maryland.
Praise the Lord. Hallelujah, Rob.
You need to come see me. I don't be feeling like driving in Berlin all the time. Okay, cousin June, I know you can come to me. Come on, man. Let's do some cookouts or something, man. It's about to be hot. But anyway, what I'm saying is, my new question to Lamont is, what about those women who have been hooked up with somebody in jail? They've been on this sending letter thing. They've been accepting phone calls. And then they want this man to come straight from jail to live at their house. And they got daughters in the house. Suggestions to these women. Because I'm saying no.
So, I mean, all men ain't predators. Just because they've been in jail, they ain't predators, right?
I know. I'm not saying that. Disclaimer. We all know that. I'm just saying.
So, I think what the woman has to ask herself in the first place, right? First, you got to want to know what the guy gonna planning to do with his life when he come home, right? That's one. Two, not to be blowing any dude's cover, but in jail we more in tune with our emotions than we actually are in the street, right? We more expressive. I mean, yeah, we more expressive. We more lonely.
You gonna find me in jail, baby? No, I'm lying. I never go. Don't talk to me.
But one of the main things I would say before you move somebody into your house that's coming out of prison, whether it's a man or a female, ask them what they got in fights for when they was in jail. Because most of the fights that take place in jail is between cell buddies, the person that live in the room with you. First of all, they put somebody in the room with you that you don't know, complete stranger, and you got to learn to live with this person. Now, a lot of the fights may start because one person isn't as clean as the other, right? Or one person make more noise than the other person. Why that comes into play in the house? If you're a woman or a man that ain't really clean and tidy, it might cause a problem with somebody that's coming home from prison that is cleanly and tidy, right? And if you got toddlers and teenagers that make a whole lot of noise, right? It might pose to be conflict.
Yeah, okay.
So those are like some of the things that I think you should be aware of. And I'm not telling women not to do this, and I'm not telling men not to do it. But I think if you really love somebody that's in prison, and I think y'all should wait if y'all planning on like really getting married. Because too many times people come home from prison. Like it was one little boy I know, his mother had him calling this dude daddy.
While he was in jail?
Yeah. And so when the dude came home, he moved in with them, and the kid was still calling him daddy. And then after a month, the dude was gone. Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
So I don't know why he was gone. I'm not saying that he used her. Maybe they was beefing. I don't know what the situation was. But I just think before you introduce somebody into your house, whether they've been in prison or not, that you should really weigh the pros and cons.
And I'm not bashing nobody. I think before you move anybody in your house, whether they came out of jail or not, you gotta make sure that y'all mesh. And even if y'all mesh, make sure they mesh with everybody in the house, okay?
What is mesh?
It means where, so like he said, if somebody's dirty and you're clean, like me, I'm an obsessive compulsive person. I really, really, really am. Am I the cleanest obsessive compulsive person? No. But there's a method to my madness. So I know where everything's at, even if you don't. So I'm not going to argue with my space. Now, if you happen to see a bug or something like that, then yes, I got a problem. I will handle it. But if you just happen to see these papers are this way, these papers are this way, these papers, and they're all stacked up, and it's like, oh my God, this mess. I'm sorry, I'm not the person for you because...
But that's a conversation though, right?
For some people it is. Some people they do, some people don't. Some people blow up and they can't deal with it and you don't know the frustration that it takes them in. I was on the phone with my soon-to-be ex one day. I think it was a box on the floor and he just flipped out. Why is the living room not clean? What is happening?
Right. You got those that's like that, right?
It's a box.
It's OCD or something?
Yeah, it's a box. And the minute I'm going to jump on this box and smush this box, it's going to be flat. It ain't going to be there no more. What you upset about?
But it also can work though. Because if you're not a tidy person and he is or she is, and you like, okay, I mean, clean what you will, but just don't mess with this area.
Yeah, some people don't.
These files over here, I know where I know where everything at that I need to get to over there, so I don't want you messing with that.
You could say that, but that don't work for some people, especially when they're NCOs and in charge of things. They're not trying to hear, don't touch.
That's why you should date. That's why you should date before y'all move on.
So he just came at my neck, but that's why you should date before you move it. And listen, even if you feel like you love this person, date long, okay? Listen, date long, okay?
And another thing,
just don't date 5 years and 10 years and 20 years. Don't date that long. Okay?
And don't when you meet somebody, you gotta decide if you could deal with that person exactly as they are right then and there for the rest of their life.
Exactly.
You can't go off of what you hope they will become, because they may never live up to your expectations.
So what he trying to say is, the crazy that you see, tell him, is it not the crazy that I am?
Yeah, you crazy.
So if you can't deal with it, don't try to know me, okay? Because I don't. Run. He's trying to tell y'all to run that. I am really this energetic, this crazy, this aggressive. I'm gonna be honest. I was at the business expo, and this is just a quick little example. When I was at the business expo, I thought it was really awesome. Baby mama got this lady to come in. The woman was talking to us. So I was intermingling with someone trying to sell them a book. I just happened to turn around, and the woman was right there. So I started talking to her like, "Oh, well, let me tell you." She was like, "Wait, whoa, you're aggressive. You just scared me, and I'm not gonna buy anything." I didn't take the part of me aggressive in. I heard I'm not gonna buy anything, so I turned around and kept on pushing. But the me aggressive is who and what I am. So, like he said, whether you're in jail, whether you're single, whatever the case may be, get to know the person. I want to say, what's up, MJ McGowan? Thank you for tuning in. I really appreciate you. You know I do. But like seriously, y'all really need to start taking heed to what people are. And we get so off a topic. We are supposed to be talking about.
But I'm not the best relationship. I'm not no relationship.
You've been in a relationship for how many years?
It's been a while, but I'm not the relationship.
See? He's been in an awesome relationship for years.
But I do a lot of stuff.
Years.
Everything that's wrong in a relationship is me. Everything.
Is it? Are you the wrong part in the relationship?
Yeah, everything. But I make changes though. I make adjustments.
You make adjustments. What's your woman's name?
I tweak me.
Oh, do you tweak you? Is she not adjusting you?
Yeah, because change is a bad word. So
Okay, so you tweaking you. So how is she helping you with the tweaking transition?
She got to let me know what she don't like.
Okay.
And most of the time I buck, but I usually make adjustments.
Why you bucking? Why you bucking though?
But in my defense, right?
Why you bucking?
In your defense.
What's up, Judge Wines? Burton.
Adjusting to
Holla at the queen. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Adjusting to make the relationship work is totally different than changing exactly who you are. Because you don't want to change who you are, and the person that she fell in love with
is gone.
She no longer recognize, and you no longer recognize. So you gotta let the tweaking has its limits. You gotta have those things that you will not allow them to tweak.
That we will not. Okay. All right, but we are still getting off topic. I was trying to talk to y'all, like seriously, about jail, because it's about to get hot, and I don't want all y'all ending up in there. Okay. And for those women that go faithfully and visit their man 2-3 times a week, because trust me, when I was with my younger daughter dad, I was one of those bus jail moms. We was all friends. We see each other every Saturday. Like, hey, girl, what happened all week? And we would go see our man every Saturday. So for these women and men that faithfully go visit your peoples in jail, what's your plan of action to help them while in there? Besides putting money on their books, besides trying to put money on the phone, how are we helping them? How are we transitioning them to get back to the streets? And that's why we're talking to Mr. Lamont Carey, because he has these in-jail programs, okay? So we're talking about how we're educating them, what we can do to help them get their mind right. Even if we can't direct them, we can lead them to water. It's up to them to fucking drink it, okay? So I'm asking y'all, besides putting money on books, paying for lawyers, and complaining about shit of, wow, our call only something minutes and I can't click over on the three-way and then it hang up. Instead of doing, what's up, Curry Spirit? Instead of doing all that, what are we doing to help them? Let Lamont tell you some more things that he's doing to help, because he's very helpful. I know. I just found out I live around the corner from the jail. I'm scared. I'm moving.
And we in D.C. or wherever, D.C. and Maryland or wherever the state brings us at. We go where the funding requests us to come. We've been to Trinidad and Tobago.
Awesome.
We're
Awesome.
looking at Ghana now. So
Awesome.
we go where the funding allows us to go.
Okay.
So now how you can help your loved one that's in prison?
Mhm.
First of all, if they don't have no GED, they should be in the GED program.
Mhm.
Because even minimum wage jobs out here now requiring GEDs. If you messing with somebody that's not in any programming, then that is a problem. Because if they're not in any programming, then they're just caught up in institutional behavior. So the first thing you want to know is what is their plan? What do they want to do when they come home from prison, right? And that's what you get them more information on. What?
Okay, Mr. Brown says, I think the other than putting money on the books, people in jail have to help themselves. It's time to think and plan and reflect. But even if,
That and that's a true statement.
I
But
mean, yeah, but if we talking to them every day and we're not giving them no type motivation either, what are we doing? You know what I'm saying? Yeah, they gotta help. I mean, even if you're not in jail, at the end of the day, we always have to help ourselves. But my question is, what type of motivation are we bringing to those people in jail besides, I see you when you get out, man. I see you on Saturday, man. I'm going to send you a letter. Look for this money. What are we giving them to look forward to?
so let me say this. Man, prison is the loneliest place in the world. So I applaud you, all of you that's in somebody's life that's in prison.
Mm-hmm.
But if you are trying to keep them fly in
Mm-hmm.
prison,
Mm-hmm.
their priorities and your priority isn't right, in my opinion, right? And I don't know everything.
No, you're right.
Uh,
You're right.
if they're not programming to make themselves better, and you accepting their phone calls, and you want them to come home and stay home with you, then make that part of the responsibility of being in a relationship with you.
Mm-hmm.
If you know they have a substance abuse problem, or they say they had a substance abuse problem, then they should be in NAAA, right? You should have conditions on your relationship the same way that you would have conditions on your relationship. If I was in the street messing with you, you
Mm-hmm.
got to have conditions on your relationship for the man or woman that you're dealing with while they in prison. So
Mm-hmm.
programming is number one. If they don't have a GED, that should be number one.
Mm-hmm.
A skill should be number one, right? I don't care if it's a skill that they can't even use once they get back here, right? But it's a skill, learning a trade that they may be able to implement somewhere once they get freedom, right?
Mm-hmm.
Burning up your phone bill and you having $300, $500 phone bills a month. Look, love, I love hearing your voice, right? But the money that you are spending to pay for a phone call all of these times a month, not allowing them to deal with themselves, because every time they get bored, every time they get lonely, they may be running to the phone versus to a book or to a program. And I'm not telling you to cut them off, I'm just telling you to have conditions on the relationship, as if they was in the street with you, and they should be preparing to come home and stay home for the rest of their life. Anything other than trying to come home, prepare to come home and stay home for the rest of their life,
Mm-hmm.
then they institutionalized and living just a prison life.
Okay, okay. Well, MJ said how we can help our loved ones that's in prison is first. Don't forget they're there.
True,
All too often, we forget about our loved ones in prison
true.
and therefore are unable to help them in any way. Two, we have to be a part of prison reform outside. That's what we don't. That's definitely what we talked about tonight. That helps improve the lives of prisoners inside, in terms of productivity programs that help our imprisoned loved ones better themselves. And that's definitely what we talking about tonight, making everything, making it better. And I'm gonna be honest, I wish Baby Mama was on the show tonight. Matter of fact, let me send her as an invite. But we actually have that issue. We have a baby father in jail, right? And in jail, when his birthday comes up, I'm gonna be very honest. Instead of saying, "Well, hey, you know my birthday coming up, what you sending me?"
I mean, that's not bad. We want
It
everybody
is.
want
It
gifts.
is. It is
Everybody want.
bad. No, no,
But
no.
listen, let me tell you something about prison. When I
Mm-hmm.
did 11 years in prison.
But wait, before you went to prison, were you a helpful part of your family or a helpful part of the people that you were with?
Before I went to prison, I was helping fund people's lives,
Okay.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So I thought I was an awesome person to my family and to the
Mm-hmm.
people that was connected to me.
Mm-hmm.
But when I went to prison, they still left.
Okay. Well, this
But I'm
person.
saying, if let me tell you how it
Okay.
was with me. If you had sent me an envelope with nothing inside with just your name on it, I would have been pleased because I knew that you was thinking of me. Now, if you send me a letter, that letter I'm gonna keep for the rest of my bit.
Awesome.
So I came home after 11 years with letters that I probably got my first week in prison. Because
Okay.
when you get bored or when you get homesick or you get lonely or you can't touch or reach out to somebody, you'll revisit those letters
Okay.
and you'll remember like how they cared about you, right?
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times why a lot of people separate from their loved ones
Mm-hmm.
once they're in prison, and it is not because they stop loving us, right?
Right.
It's because when we first went to prison, we called all day long, right? If your family is on a fixed income before you go to prison, because you went to prison, ain't gonna change their income. And so if you call in 3 or 4 times a week, or even one time a week for a mother that's getting like $300 or $500 a month, right? Or even $1,000 a month, that's still putting a strain on her. And if she's sending you all this money so that you can eat, right? $200 a day. I mean, $200 a month on commissary. That's taken from the little bit of money that she has. And so what ends up happening after the first month, when the phone bill is $1,000, she's gonna tell you to slow down. The phone bill is too high. But sometimes we keep calling, or we call maybe 1 or 2 times less, and then it's the bill, the next bill. And then by the third bill, she's not accepting the calls no more, right? She's not even answering the phone because now they got call ID, and then she know when it's a jail number. And now she's not coming to visit you, or he's not coming to visit you because he know you're going to argue with him about not accepting those phone calls, right?
True.
And they're not in a rush to respond back to the letters because you might be cussing them out in the letters. So sometimes we think that our family members abandon us, but a lot of times we are slowly pushing them away.
Well, yes, me and baby mama, our situation is different. This is somebody that wasn't even a helpful part, and literally did some type of crime for their birthday, and now in there doesn't assist, I make sure it's money on the phone so it's pretty to speak to my daughter, but literally this person will call and say, hey, it's about Thanksgiving, can you send, or is it around my birthday, can you send? But this is a person that wouldn't even have taken care of their own child if they was on the street. Right. So no, I don't feel like I should send you money or I should put money on your books. Like I said, like I explained to him, and I know y'all might think this is mean, but it's not. I feel like this. I keep money on the phone so that our daughter, can hear his voice. That's all I can do. And whenever I do happen to speak to him, I say, hey, well, what new book have you read? What new program have you entered?
Right.
Because at this point, this is not my man. It's just my daughter's father. So I've asked the questions because when you come out, I want you to be a part of my daughter's life. So I need to make sure you are reading. I need to make sure you are educating yourself because can't no fools be around my daughter. If I don't want her to date him, I damn sure don't want to look up to one.
Right.
So I look at that as a different state of mind, and I know it seems selfish to say, okay, you're judging this person on what you feel like they wouldn't have done.
Right.
But I've been there before.
But let me say this though, right? Sometimes when we in the streets, right, we moving so fast, or we beefing with you for whatever reasons that we not getting along, or we getting high or whatever, and so our thinking isn't always clear. And so sometimes when we find ourselves incarcerated, we learn, because I didn't really know me before I went to prison, right?
Okay.
Like I was with a chick for like 16 months, and I'm asking her what's her favorite color while I'm in prison.
Are you kidding me?
Right, but I wasn't a bad boyfriend.
Okay.
Right,
okay.
I just didn't didn't ask certain questions, or I didn't know like what I actually felt about certain situations. So sometimes we go to prison, some people get clean, some people able to slow down and be able to properly think. Because if you think about it, most times that when we're in the street life, we committing crimes, we always looking over our shoulder from the police, from the stick-up boys, or what have you. So we don't really, everything is moved fast, so we won't get stuck in one place and get caught up.
Okay.
But when we get in prison, it's a time that we have to evaluate our behavior, evaluate our thinking.
True.
And so I think it's wrong to say, oh, now you want to be involved in your child life now that you're in prison.
But some men are that.
But
Why do us women have to give them a chance if that's all you are? But wait, we got some callers on the line. I'm sorry. I do want to say real quick, me and Lamont just started having a whole face-to-face as if we weren't. But I thank y'all for tuning in to A.M.I.N.A, Amazing Mentors, Independently Nurturing Artists with the awesome, phenomenal Lamont Carey. Thank you for blessing us. We got a call on the line from Southeast Pennsylvania. Southeast Pennsylvania, you are on with A.M.I.N.A. Ooh, let me turn you down some.
What's going on, Queen A.M.I.N.A?
Okay, Spade. How you, baby?
What's up, Shane?
I'm good. You know, I told you a while ago I was going to catch up with you and make sure I do that. You're a hard person to keep on schedule, you know.
You know it.
Got your own thing going.
Yes.
Days. You the earliest radio show I ever called in on.
That's because I'm an early bird. By the time this show going, I'm going to be under the covers, letting you talk me to sleep. I'm trying to tell you how you do. You got some questions for Mr. Carey tonight? Or any comments on jail relationships, building yourself in jail, how you become a better part of society when coming out of jail? Any advice for the people?
I see y'all got a lot going on.
You know it.
Hey, McGaw.
But, let's see here.
MJ.
Well, relationships, I'm a single dude, so ain't in no relationship right now.
You ever been in a jail relationship?
I mean, was a woman who, you know, she ended up in there and whatnot, but let's just say she wasn't stable. It wasn't going to work out.
Okay. Well, what advice do you have for the men or the fathers that are coming home from jail? What advice do you have for them?
I say those for the fathers who are coming home from jail. I mean, don't try to buy your kid. So you try to reconnect with your child after all that lost time. Try to find out who they are. You know, just don't try to barge in. Don't try to take control because they might feel like you're a stranger.
Very true. What about moms dating fathers in jail? Or dating men in jail? What do you feel as though they should do as far as when they come home? Do you feel like they should move them in or get to know them? What do you feel on single women dating men in jail?
Well, I just say I think it has to do with their relationship before you went to jail. Were they that close?
Okay.
That's what I think it depends on. I mean, did she really love him that much? He actually waited all that time for him to get out. Still trying to support that dude. I mean, that's a real deal woman right there. Real deal wife.
Understood.
Girlfriend.
Understood.
You know, who's really showing love to that guy. And if I was that dude, I would try to hold on to her.
True.
That's hard to find out there.
Very
Good job, champ. I appreciate that.
Definitely. We definitely going to get back to the lines, okay, Spade? You know, I appreciate you. I will be tuning into your show. All you got to do is send me an inbox, and y'all come on late, so I'm going to let y'all talk me on my way to sleep. But I appreciate you so much for calling in tonight. I truly do.
Hey, and MJ, man, I definitely...
Oh, I'm going to read that. I'm going to read that out loud.
Agree
Bear with me real quick, and Kane, I'm going to put you back on the line so I can read this comment. I do appreciate you. And don't forget to tune into A.M.I.N.A on the 31st of this month. I'm going to have a Philly Street Poet on, okay?
Gotcha. Appreciate you having me on.
Appreciate you. Later. Real quick, Mr. McGowan said, letters, monies, visits, etc. Please help to keep esteem up and show support. But in case of a prisoner doing short term, doing what we can to better them in there so that they can be more productive when out counts most. So we should be trying to see how we can supply prisoners depending on the type of time they're doing, and that's real. We are sending short-term prisoners in Michigan educational and occupational tools to help them learn so that they can apply their skills once they home. Awesome.
So, MJ, I agree with you. Uh, I think educational opportunities and skills should be applied, be accessible to individuals regardless of how much time they got. In some prisons, because they got a life sentence, they don't have a whole lot of programming for them to be, because a lot of times programming is for individuals like 10 years and under. But dudes get their sentence, men and women get their sentence overturned. They get back on appeal, and some get found, that they was falsely accused of a crime and get released. So they don't spend all this time in prison without access to programming. So everybody should have access to programming. But one of the things that the community can do to make it better for individuals that's coming home from prison and individuals that's in prison, one, in your state, if we don't have the right to vote, then you should be a part of those campaigns to get us the right to vote, not just soon as we come home, but also while we in prison, right? In some states, you're allowed to vote when you're in the county jail before you get sentenced. But we should have the right to vote. If a state can count us on their census and earn money from that state, because we are prisoners housed in that state, then we should be able to have a say in who we want to represent us. And so helping us get the right to vote, that should be one of our priorities, because then we can vote in people in office who's going to help change our life. And there's this thing that's called ban the box, which basically mean, you know how you look at a job application and it says, have you ever been convicted of a crime? Right? We need to have that removed off of job applications so individuals can go in and sell themselves on the skills that they have that increases the chances of them being hired. And I'm not saying that they're not going to do a background check, but with ban the box, what it does is give you an opportunity to interview, right? And if they are considering hiring you, then they do the background check, but at least you have the opportunity to be able to interview, right? Housing. Right, you just can't build up housing out of the clear blue sky, because there's really not too much more land to be built on. But we need housing, because we have individuals that get released from prison and go right to a shelter. Let me tell you I went into a shelter to do voter registration. And when I walked into that shelter, it reminded me, or gave back this feeling that I felt when I was in prison, right? Every time I went to a new prison, this aggression came over me, because I didn't know if I was going to have to prove myself, right? And that's what it felt like as a visitor going into a shelter. So imagine what it feels like for somebody that's getting released from prison and have to move directly into a shelter. Another thing, public housing. If you really want an individual to come home and have a real second chance, a lot of the individuals that's locked up come from public housing. But public housing some of them have policies that forbid an individual to have certain charges to come back on their premises. But if my whole family lives on public housing, then you automatically declaring me to be homeless, right? So if you really want to help individuals that's coming home from prison, those are some of the things that you could do to help remove some of the barriers that's going to keep us not being able to really acclimate ourselves back into society. And another thing, entrepreneurship. You see this shirt? Keep your hustle, but change your product. And what that basically means, there is a skill that we've learned out of any crime, maybe self or sexual crimes, right? But I riffed off some skills that I learned from my time as a drug dealer that I was able to apply to a legit business. And all I had to do was change my product. That removed the risk of me being locked up. That removes a whole lot of me looking over my shoulders all the time for sticker boys and all of those stuff. All I had to do was change my product. And so if we really want to help individuals coming home from prison, those are some of the things that we can do. And inside of prison, MJ, I agree with you.
Yes.
Letters and money does build self-esteem. But some individuals, as you know, MJ, because you did 10 years, some individuals some of that, all of that, getting a whole lot of money, it becomes a fashion statement that I'm still fly, that I'm still that dude, and sometimes it distracts from really working on preparing yourself to get released. And as you know, MJ, a lot of us that go to prison, like, I don't know if you have had this experience, MJ, but I have never met a corner boy when I was in prison.
We're going to bring him on the line because he actually called them.
I have never met somebody that sold nickels and dimes. I only met kingpins in prison. So somebody's living a false reality.
I know that's right. Ja XL, you're on with A.M.I.N.A, amazing mentors, independently nurturing artist.
I can hear you guys on that end.
Can you barely hear us? Here, let me see if I can turn it up. Let me turn it up. Lay, everybody on Facebook.
I don't know how to respond, but I will say this, though. You know, prison, helping prisoners out, and people doing prison reform from the outside is a very difficult task if you're serious about it. It takes a lot of time, a lot of sacrifice, a lot of effort, and a lot of understanding. But the best way that us from the outside can help prisoners out is to find out, you know, first of all, we need to understand that prison systems are different in every state. So we need to find out how the prison system works in each state that we're trying to work in. Secondly, we need to find out exactly what can we do right now instead of trying to pass laws and have and try to do things that's going to create new things for the prisoners. We need to work within the system for things that's already there that many prisoners don't know about because it's been buried under all the frivolous stuff that they like to feed prisoners. They give them basketballs and sports programs and all the TV watching they can do, as opposed to offering them any type of education. So we need to, as people on the outside, we need to figure out how we can put that at the forefront, you know, for each particular prison system that we're trying to involve ourselves in. That's what we do here in Michigan. Here in Michigan, we concentrate more on the buried gems that can help out prisoners, especially short-term prisoners who's going to be out soon. These are the ones that we really have to worry about. The ones who got, I'm not saying we should ever forget about lifers or those who are doing 20 or more years and numbers and everything, but the short-term prisoners is the ones that we have to worry about reacclimating back into society. And the way we reacclimate them is to prepare them before they get out here. So preparation from an individual, whether she's a woman or a man, preparation requires for that individual to be a lot more stringent in terms of what they're giving their prison loved one. You know, you can feed them sugar, and when they come out, they're gonna be a diabetic, or you can feed them education, and when they come out, they're gonna be more intelligent and more prepared to conquer the world. You know, of course, it takes a lot more. You know, we're gonna have to have support systems out here. You know, we didn't even mention the parole board and how unjust they can be with prisoners and everything. It's difficult for me to talk right now because I don't know if I'm being heard, and I don't know.
We hear you. We definitely hear you.
I'm just saying a little bit what's on my mind right now. I will gladly call back in and we can talk about this more with the brother that's on right now. You know, I would gladly have a one-on-one with him, you know, off here so we can, you know, put our minds together on what they're doing in their area, what we're doing here in Michigan area, and maybe we can come together and make up some type of accord that we can post on a regular basis, you know, like some type of instructional that we can post for people who need help in terms of how to support our loved ones in prison.
Right.
That sounds like awesome. And his name is definitely Lamont Carey. That definitely sounds like something that you guys should put in the works. I'm not gonna throw my 2 cents in, but I do think that.
Yeah, brother. I'm open. There's some of the stuff that I just mentioned now is national movements like Ban the Box, Restoring Voter Rights. You hit it on the head about the parole board because, as you know, you can catch a shot, or you can catch a write-up for people that don't know what a shot is. You can get a write-up for contraband or a fight or something and go off for parole 10 years later, and they still give you a parole hit A hit meaning they extend, so they may say, "We coming back and see us in 2 years. Come back and see us in 5 years." They can still give you a parole hit off of something that you did 10 years ago. So that's unfair. But how you counters a lot of that stuff is through programming, right? Now, with the parole board, when you get on the street, a lot of individuals believe that the parole people are their enemy, but the parole person is the person that either keeps you in puts you back in prison or keeps you out. So, in my opinion, the parole officer, you should make your best friend. Because when you want to travel, you got to get a travel pass. Most people in prison dream about going somewhere. And so when you come home and you in compliance, you have a better chance of getting a travel pass. And if you come home and you and your parole officer or probation officer not seeing eye to eye, they not giving you access to their resources because they consider you a knucklehead. But if you somebody that you trying to build a relationship and show them that you trying to be on the right track, they have access to employment. So when a job opportunity come across their desk, they're not going to shoot it to the knucklehead. They're going to shoot it to the one that they say is in compliance. So it's about how you work relationships. The same way as when we was in the streets, right? We used our network to get what we want, right? And so it's the same thing when you be legit. But the one thing I have to warn individuals that's coming home from prison, being legit, if you have been in the street and you survived it, and you've been in prison and you survived it, then you can survive being legit. But one thing about being legit, it can be a little harder because ain't no quick fix, right? And versus now you have people talking smack to you in your face and telling you what you gonna do? Sue me? Right? But we're used to handling it another way. And another thing, if you have a loved one that's in prison, that I suggest that you help them on is the anger issue. And to make sure why I talk about programming is so that they won't become institutionalized. Because when you become institutionalized, that simply means you have adjusted and lived by the norms of prison. And a quick story, when I came home from prison, my parole officer got me a job at a restaurant as a host. I had no idea what a host was, MJ. I'm at the door. Welcome to Denny's. Come back to Denny's again. But the problem was the people weren't saying thank you for me holding the door. And I just come from prison, right? Violent prisons where respect is given. It's everything. And so they weren't giving me the respect. And so then they weren't tipping me. So I ended up pulling up on one of the waiters and saying, I'm going to sit people in your area, but you're going to have to break me off some of them tips. I'm putting the press on them, right? Because now, because I done got pissed off that they ain't treat me right at the door, they ain't giving me money. So now I done changed my life with prison attitude, creep right back in. And that job lasted me like 4 hours, 4 to 6 hours, and I was let go. So that's real stuff, right?
But you know what? Respect is everything, prison or not.
Right.
Any type of relationship situation, it ain't no respect, you got to end it.
But listen though, love. I was holding the door, right?
I mean...
Holding the door, I shouldn't be angry as hell.
Yeah, I mean...
So it's a difference.
I mean, no, because I mean, even if somebody even if I don't know you, if I'm running and you hold the door for me and I don't know you, 9 times out of 10 I say thank you, or I go like this. I'm going to acknowledge you in some type of way.
Right, but people on the street don't have that same, you know, I'm the doorman. But I'm the doorman. You know how some people look at you in some professions and think, as a poet, right? Some people think as a poet that because I'm a poet that I am soft as cotton. that I have never experienced anything that was wild and crazy. Because I'm a poet, so poet mean in school we thought poetry was for suckers. So as adults, some adults still see it the same way.
Okay.
Right? And but because I worked on my anger, right? And I know that if I react in a negative way, it's just gonna put me in a negative situation that I ain't never trying to go back to. And the other thing I want you to tell your peoples that's in prison, when they come home from prison, do not tell them that's your past, put it behind you. Don't tell them change people, places, and things. Don't do that, because what you do is make them dependent, because you telling them that their whole past wasn't worth anything. And so now if their whole life wasn't worth anything, they become dependent because they want to make sure they making all the right decisions and doing all the right things. So they looking for guidance. But there are Jews from their past. You can tell them not do the negative stuff, but don't tell them they got to leave their past behind them, because what you want them to remember, you want them to remember the hottest summers in prison when the AC is not working and they not clearing count. So you in a cell. It's 95 degrees outside, but it might be 101 in that cell, right? Because they trying to make you suffer. Or the coldest winter, and they don't have the heat on. And they not clearing the count, so you can't get out of the cell. So you in that cell freezing with one sheet and one blanket. So you don't want them to forget that. And the main thing that you want them to stay mindful of, the worst experience that can happen to you in prison, when you first get into prison, they tell you to get naked. You take all your clothes off. They tell you bend over, spread your butt cheeks, and cough while a man is looking at your butthole, right, to see if you done hid something in your butt, right? It was the most degrading experience that I've ever had in my life. By the time I came home, say I'm coming off a visit. When you come off a visit, they do a shakedown to make sure you ain't bringing no drugs or nothing into the prison. And they make you do that same thing after each visit. By the time I was getting ready to come home and I started back getting visits, by the time I'm coming back from the visit, I'm already taking my clothes off because I done got used to that humiliation, right? So now it has become normal. So all of us come home from prison with some form of mental health issues. You know what I'm saying? Okay. Because we done been through some of the most horrifying things. To see somebody get stabbed and the blood gush out of their neck. Or walk past a cell that a guy that you were just talking to last night then hung himself. You know what I'm saying? So we go through some real traumatic experiences. And you got to also know this. The streets are a subculture with its own rules of conduct. Then you go to prison with its own rules of conduct. And then you get released into the streets to be legit with its own rules and conduct, right? So we done lived in 3 different lifestyles or 3 different worlds. So we gonna have some trauma. And the worst thing, black people, I know black people do not like to hear about therapy, right? But a lot of us need therapy.
Me too.
A lot of us go to prison from trauma that we done experienced as a child. And we try to use drugs to medicate it. We try to get rich to separate ourselves from it. But the problems never get addressed. So I don't think therapy should be off the table, because for us to heal ourselves, some of us might need some help.
It shouldn't. I'm not going to lie to y'all. My therapist, her name is Lakia. She's awesome. Lakia, mwah! I don't go see her. We talk on the phone from time to time, but I used to see her twice a week because I used to be angry. And I ain't even have to be in jail to be angry, okay, with that traumatic thing. So basically, the point of this show tonight is to explain to y'all, people in jail go through a lot. And besides putting money on these books and accepting these phone calls, it's up to us all to assist in some type of way. If all you asking them is, hey, how you? And then y'all holding the phone, you're not helping. You need to ask, what programs are you getting into? What book have you read? When the last time you've been to the law library? See if we can get you out a little bit earlier. You need to be part of the solution. Don't just be a cop for when this person gets released. Be a stepping stone to help the process of the release. You can't make anyone do anything.
So, let me say this, right? I stayed back in kindergarten. I stayed back in first grade, right? And they put me in special ed. And I eventually dropped out of school when I started making some money on the streets. But I stayed in trouble in school, fighting. Once they put me in special ed, if I heard you say dumb, stupid, or any of that stuff, I was digging in your ass, right? So I was violent as hell in school. So when I get to prison, because I was under 21, they made me go to school. And when I got that GED, that was my first mainstream win. And that shit changed my life, because it told me that I was smarter than the teacher said that I was. And so I thirst and hunger for knowledge. I probably read 20,000 books or more in prison because I was banging out like 3 books a week. And why I stress programming, because you never know what in the world is going to change somebody's life. You never know what is going to make them think that they could do something better.
True.
I have never used a drug in my life, never tasted beer, never tasted a cigarette, but I sold plenty of drugs, right? But I learned my biggest lessons in the NA program. And I got in the NA program so I can collect certificates so it'll better my chances from going up for parole, right? Of getting parole. And in NA and AA, I learned about triggers, right? What triggers you to use again? What triggers you? And as a drug dealer, I started thinking my triggers was money, right? I mean, dressing. So I needed money to dress because I like to dress, right? So when I came home from prison, I stayed my ass away from fly clothes, right? Because I didn't know if that was my trigger that was going to push me back into being a drug dealer. And the one thing that I encourage you all with family members in prison that's get ready to come home, I know you want them to be fly as hell. But if you go out there and buy them expensive clothes, that sets the bar on how they expect to dress. So if you buying them $200 pair of Jordans, when them Jordans wear down, you know how much they want to pay for their shoes? $200 and above. If you buying them $70 and $100 pair of jeans, you know when the next time they need some jeans, you know how much they want to pay? $70 and above. Same thing for shirts and socks and the whole nine. Just get them something nice that they gonna look good in, right? It don't have to cost a whole lot, because if I come home from prison and I get a minimum wage job working at McDonald's or something, nothing is wrong with McDonald's, but I get a job at McDonald's and I'm making $1,000 every 2 weeks. I cannot afford $200 Jordans. I cannot afford $70 jeans. I cannot afford $100 shirts, right? So now I'm like, how am I going to get the clothes that I wear, because I can't be walking around here looking like a bum. And I'm not saying take them to pay less, right? You can take them out, let them pick out some shoes in the range of whatever, right? But just have a no buy price zone, right? Because the goal is for them to stay home. But if you set the bar where it's so high, you telling them to hustle. And some of y'all may be cruddy out there. Your whole desire is for them to come home and be that same dude or woman that was getting that money that they was getting. That is so wrong of you. Because you're just setting them up to fail, right? And why programming is so important. I was in prison with Colombian drug lords, people from ISIS, IRA. I mean, people that own islands, right? And one dude said, Lamont, take my family number. When you go home, if you need me, call me. You know what that meant? If you wanted to get back in these streets, I can give you some keys, right? I didn't even walk out of the prison with that because I didn't want to be tempted. Even if he gave me the drugs and I got back on, how long was I really going to last out here? Maybe I stayed free for 5 years and I would be locked up for life now. Or maybe he wanted to give me 100 kilos so he could put the police on me so he can get his time cut. So education in prison, for me, is a key. Because not only is it going to change your thinking inside of prison, but it's also going to create more opportunities for you when you come home. Again, you can keep your hustle, but you got to change your product.
Exactly.
And if you want to know how bad prison is, I have a prison series. I wrote 14 books in prison. And I only released one of the books that I wrote in prison, and the book is called The Heal, right? It's a prison story. If you want to see how grimy prison can be, go order my book, The Heal. And then the sequel is The Wall. And I just released a book called The Transition, right? So if you want to know how prison can really be, read those books. And if you have a young man in your life that you want to keep out of trouble, he don't have to be a bad kid, he don't have to be an at-risk kid, he could just be a young man, right? you might want to consider buying my book, Reaching to My Dark.
Dead by 18.
Dead Before 18.
I got that for my son.
Saving our boys from the streets.
I got that for my son.
And if you just want some good poetry that touch on community issues, get a Queen A.M.I.N.A books, right? And you can also grab my book at the same time. Reaching to My Darkness, I Hate This Place. And if you're an artist and you tired of being a struggling artist, you might want to get my book called Your Artist, Your Empire, a guide for artists who want to turn their dreams into a business. And so effective communication is the key. And a lot of us in prison, we become antisocial because we don't want to be in other people's business. So we stay to ourselves. We ain't talking to a whole lot of people, right? Mm-hmm. But you have to make sure that if you're in contact with us, that you're making sure that we can explain ourselves, that we can explain what it is that we want. Because we're going to have to explain what it is we want when we go on a job interview, right? We're going to have to explain what it is that we want and don't like in our relationships with you, right? Because y'all women say communication is the key to a relationship. And if we're not used to expressing ourselves, how are we going to let you know that we love you? And I had that issue in my relationship. I was called one time
insensitive,
emotionally
challenged,
emotionally disconnected.
Ooh, I don't like that.
So I was a doer, right? Mm-hmm. I wasn't necessarily an expresser of how I felt because I connected like sweet talk to soft shit. Punk shit, right? Mm-hmm. So if I'm one of them dudes, right? Mm-hmm. If I was one of them dudes, what's the chances are the man or woman that's in your life that's been to prison or just coming home from prison have those same challenges, or the street dudes have those challenges. And sometimes just men in general, because we're told that men are supposed to be tough. And we might interpret, a little boy might interpret that to mean that we don't show no weaknesses. So you ask us why you don't cry. Because we're being what you told us that a man is supposed to be. And that's another reason why I don't like those responsibilities that you, my little man, that you the man of the house. Allow your sons, your nephews and your grandkids to be little boys so they can have little boys experiences and not rushing to be men.
True.
Because believe it or not, you have a lot of men in prison that play because they have never had the chance to be a kid in the streets.
What?
Yeah, they play. It's a lot of playing going on. That's how a lot of fights and stabbings and goes on.
He said it like he was serious. A lot of playing going on.
It's a lot of playing going on. MJ, you know it, MJ. It's a lot of playing.
My baby father has 13 years. I'm pretty sure he'll tell my daughter all about all these play groups and jumpsies that they done did. That I don't want to hear about it. I want y'all, seriously. Because, hey, Lulu, I wanted to say hey to Mr. Gar, hey to Michael Anthony, hey to, my cousin Hanan. Mwah, I love you, boo. Let me see. A.M.I.N.A Brown, ooh. Jadjuan Burton, Kane Spade, my cousin June, brother Rob, Nancy,
Brother Rob.
You know you my boo, Yolanda Walker, Susan Lewis, Sway S.Y.A., Chasey Greer, Jason Butler, my uncle Antoine Cook, and Naeem Brown. I want to thank everybody that tuned into A.M.I.N.A. Oh, and my girl Shami, get ready, girl. We got to hit that store, boo. Listen, I want to say thank you to everyone that tuned into A.M.I.N.A.
Thank you.
Amazing mentors. Independently nurturing artists. And I say independent because no one gave us shit. Who gave you what you got?
Nobody.
Nobody gave a shit. And the little bit we got, we giving it to everyone that we possibly can.
But nobody's supposed to give us stuff. Right?
Yes, they are. I want to be like Trump and just say my feet hurt and get $1 million.
We supposed to be able to express the value in our product. And artists, and black people, stop saying black people don't support. 98% of the people that support me are black people.
Black people support. your family members don't support you.
Oh, no.
Stop that shit. Family, support your family. Because I know only one of my aunts, I swear to you, only one of my aunts, my Aunt Sheila, I love you. She's the only one of my aunts that bought my book. Nobody else had bought my book. Even if they read it, they ain't buy it from me. Family, you need to start supporting your family.
And they will say, let me read it, and I'm going to help promote. They ain't never promoted nothing in their damn
They ain't never promoted it because they don't even remember what it said because they only looked at the cover and put it down on the table and left it in the bathroom. So for people, start supporting your family, okay? And to everybody I know in Philly, I am performing, okay, at Laughter for Your Soul with Philly street poet Malcolm Hill and Buck D. Fuck Wild. And the main attraction for that show is the comedian. And yes, he's still funny, Joe Torre. So I'm excited. I'm nervous. Come out and see me. I'm opening that show with some spoken word. I'm going to be on the stage for the first 15 minutes. So if you ain't there between 8 and 8:22, you're going to miss me. So I suggest you hurry up and get there. But come out and support Philly. It's going to be at the New School in Philadelphia on June 2nd. That's a Saturday. I ain't trying to hear. I ain't had a time because you can be there. It starts at 8 o'clock at night. And no matter where you driving from, you can make it. So come out and support the queen. And don't forget, my publishing company, Show It Well Publications. My doors are open. I am looking for new writers, authors, poets, everything. And my new poetry books are all out. The pages are designed. The covers are awesome. Into the Mind of the Queen. In the Heart of the Queen. And the Queen has spoken because y'all know I just won't shut the by now. So, and my novel is revamped and ready to go too. If Some Wishes Came True. Nancy, hit me up. Send me your email. I'm going to send you an invoice for Some Wishes Came True. I'm going to sign that. And I'm going to send you something else as a surprise because Nancy, you are the best. It won't be a book, but it'll be something for Mother's Day because you are my boo thang, okay? I love you to death. And Mr. Gar, let me know if you got your book because I did send out In the Heart of the Queen to you. No, I sent out The Queen Has Spoken to you with the new design pages. When you receive that in the mail, I need you to take a picture, tag the queen, let me know you got it. And again, I want to thank my awesome guest, Mr. Carey, for coming to be with me because you know I'm crazy.
And I come anywhere in the world. You just got to have a budget, right?
Yeah, I heard it.
I come anywhere in the world, but if you want a piece of me now, all you got to do is go to lamontcurry.com and you can go to my CD Imagine. You can get any one of my 6 books. You can buy my t-shirts. I think this t-shirt is the best t-shirt, right? So you could be talking to young dudes in your community without even opening your mouth because they gonna see it. They see Keep Your Hustle, right? Then they gonna automatically see Change Your Product, and it might create an opportunity for you to be able to explain that. But I come everywhere, passport and everything. You just gotta have a budget.
And I'm with him. What's the budget looking like? We there. You need a host? I'm coming. All right. But I know he's a little bit more important because he's changing our future, in our jail.
She's changing minds with her work. And the underrated artist that I think y'all should check out too is Brother Rob.
Yes, Brother Rob the Poet Brown. He was in Philly opening up for the Delphonics over Mother's Day weekend. We want to give a shout out. That's my heart.
Wow.
He's everything.
Wow.
Yeah. So y'all better find him on SoundCloud. Brother Rob the Poet Brown, or Brother Rob if you don't feel like saying the whole damn sherm, okay? Look him up. But I do thank y'all, everybody, for tuning in to A.M.I.N.A, Amazing Mentors, Independently Nurturing Artists. Can you do an angry piece for us? Or an angry start to a piece? Because I want y'all to hear how aggressive some poetry is, because sometimes poetry is not soft and marshmallowy.
So can I do something on prison?
Yes, Bill.
Or love.
On prison is better, because I ain't got no love, don't no love live here.
All right. I'm not alone. Even though you can't see what's really going on, but I'm torn. My internal barriers are so strong. Sometimes when I'm trying to lift myself up, they be like, where you going? And I still wake up when I hear doors opening. And I keep a lot of my belongings by the head of my bed, like my cell door still be closing. And I've been home for a while, but I still don't like crowds because it reminds me of packed prison buses. Being shackled and chained to men and women that I can never put my trust in. Bend over, spread your butt cheeks, and begin coughing. See, I'm traumatized. Then they set me free to be normal little me. Cause they can't change what they can't see. So they believe it's the criminal in me. Cause they can't change what they can't see. So they believe it's the criminal in me. So y'all gonna get to hear that one when the single drop.
And y'all better hurry up and get that. Y'all better hurry up and get that. Lamont Carey, ladies and gentlemen, on A.M.I.N.A. Amazing mentors, independently nurturing artists. Y'all know I try to do a poem on every show, and I left all my books outside, so I'm going to drop a freestyle for y'all real quick because I'm practicing, and I got to get on my nerves. So whether I'm scared or not, this is like to hear it.
And if she mess up, I got her because I'm a freestyle too. Bam.
So I just want to thank you all for helping the queen stand tall. I be feeling like you got my back, so I'll never fall. And believe you me, since you got my back, I got yours in any street brawl. So thank you for being the heart of the queen. Because I couldn't do it all by myself. I know I am supposed to be a sunbeam. Believe you me, everything I'm doing for these children that I done bore into this world. Yes, I got 1 boy and 3 girls. So remember this. I'm protecting them from the devil in these streets. And please don't come for mine, because that heat I will reach. All right, that's the end of that
piece. Wow. You hear a freestyle? Wow. She ain't mess up at all. Wow. Look at that.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, y'all. The queen is, I'm working on these poems because I gotta be the shit on that stage. So I want to say thank you, Nancy. Thank you, Brother Rod. Thank you, Shami. Thank you, everybody. And special thanks to Mr. Lamont Carey and his missus for letting him come hang with us tonight. We truly appreciate it, and respect and love is due. Please get this man's books.
LamontCurry.com.
Hit me up. I will inbox him directly, whatever the name of it is. And he's serious. The book, Saving Our Boys Dead Before 18, does save lives. My son's last year of high school, he read it. My son is a Marine now and already been promoted once. Get up. Read that book. It's saving these streets because I was a single mom of a boy. And I'm telling you, it's hard. And
it's your responsibility. It's your responsibility. Because the kids, it don't have to be your kid, but it's part of your family, the human family. So sometimes we walk right past kids, but we got to start saying something to them. You ain't got to be aggressive. And they're going to ignore you for a while. But if you keep speaking to them, sooner or later they'll speak back and you'll have an opportunity to engage them. It's your responsibility. If you want a safer and happier life and a better community, then you have to engage the people in your community. And calling the police on them ain't always the best choice, because you see what the police are doing to individuals that look like us.
They just killing us.
And I'm not saying that's all police, but some police
they did for no reason
are scared.
No, they ain't scared.
They're working in communities. I went on a ride along. There's some police that have never been around black people, right?
Wait, let me just say this, because I'm going to hear that they scared of black people, but I done seen some of them same police lick and kiss a possum.
Yeah, okay.
Okay? I'm scared of them. I'm scared. I won't even cross the street if I see a possum. I'm going in the house, I'm going to sleep for the night. I'll be out 24 hours later. They licking and kissing possums. Okay? They doing, there's no way in the world you can collect rats, collect roaches. There's a little girl on the internet right now that got thousands of roaches living in her house. Her whole family knows that her room is infested with roaches, but she trains them so they don't care. They them big, red, nasty ones. So ain't no way in the world. I'm just serious.
Roaches?
She training roaches. I mean, I like her talent, but here's the thing. There's no way in the world as a white person you are training roaches, licking and kissing possums and all that crap, but you see a black person with no guns, no weapons, in a t-shirt and jeans, just like you, and you feel like I'm so threatened, I gotta shoot them and kill them.
So
I'm not buying the scare card.
So I agree, but I was in this police car. I was in them, went through their training with them. I mean, if you just think black men have been put out there for so long as being a predator. Some black women and some black men see black men walking and clench their purse and walk across the street. And I'm not justifying justifying racist behavior. I'm just saying
we do, but we don't
just be aware. Be aware of who you engage and how you engage them. And the whole goal to get them, when you get pulled over from the police or stopped by the police, is to get home. You ain't got to stand up there and try to prove them wrong and prove you right. Yes, sir. No, sir. Get your ass home. Look at their badge number. You can file a report. Don't stand up there and try to beef with them people because they gonna touch your shoulder or something. You pull away, and now they tackling you because they saying you resisted arrest when you was never under arrest in the first place.
Exactly.
And I'm not saying that's all police, but right now our kids are being targeted. Our people being targeted in general and being killed all around the country. So we can't overlook. It's so for us to try to make it safer for us, we only can check us. We can't really check them. We can just try to de-escalate the situation from our point of view to make it home. And I just saw, I think it was Houston, Texas, where somewhere some people snatched a little black boy. So stay focused on your kids and neighbors. Stay focused on the kids that live in your community. And if you look like somebody is harming a black kid or any kid, regardless of the race of the kid, it's our responsibility as humans to make sure that our kids and our family members are okay.
Well, let me just say, as much as I love Lamont, I'm going to agree to disagree with that, because I've also seen how in New York City, a white group of people, literally in like 4 different cars, surrounded a black mother and her son. They drove them off the road, jumped out their cars. They beat up this woman's car. They tried to drag her son out. Let me tell you, how I live, it's an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. So come for mine. Okay? All right. Now, thank y'all so much for tuning into A.M.I.N.A, Amazing Mentors, Independently Nurturing Artists. I am non-violent, I promise you, okay? I love y'all. Thank you again to Lamont Carey for tuning into A.M.I.N.A, Amazing Mentors, Independently Nurturing Artists. See you guys on the 31st with Philly Street Poet. Deuces. I love you all. Yes, I know I'm crazy.
Peace.
Boom.